Hey, Seth David here from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated and the newly famous SethDavid.com. And I'm here to talk to you about Smartsheet. I've recently developed something that's really cool. I can't wait to show it to you actually. It's something that I showed in depth in my 97 and up program, which of course you can sign up for at SethDavid.com or just head over to Patreon. That's my sort of mentorship program where I do two weekly 1 hour calls, logged in Zoom, and we cover anything that you need to learn in order to help you grow and scale your business. Smartsheet is one that we've covered a number of times because it has quickly become one of my favorite productivity or project management applications. And here's why. You can really customize it. Think spreadsheet plus robust project management features. So I can really customize it, and what I would encourage you to do is get in there and play around. When you first start with Smartsheet, just create one of each different type of column that you can create. So you can right click, add a column to the right, and I'll show you how to do all this in a minute. And then double click the column and you'll see the different column types you can create. You can have drop down list check boxes, you can have all kinds of things. And maybe most importantly, you can have any number of date-based columns that you need. So I can have a start and an end date, or a start and a due date for sure on a task. But there may be other kinds of dates that I want depending on the nature of the project and what the sort of milestones might be. So what I love about Smartsheet is once I've created any date-based column, I can create alerts based on any one of those dates. So I can say, send me an email reminder a week before that task is due, or send me an email reminder a week before that task start date so I can make sure to get it on my calendar. And I can customize the message that goes out with it. So it'll be very clear, hey Seth, it's time to schedule this task. Click over to Smartsheet and make sure you get it onto your calendar, that kind of thing. And then maybe a week before the due date, I'd get another reminder saying, hey, just in case you haven't started it yet, this task is due in a week, those kinds of things. Another way I use it is I keep track of all of my clients' bills that need to get paid every month. And even though I have HubDoc pulling most of their statements, not all of them get pulled there. And in some cases, especially if it's a client where I have to monitor their cash flow a little more closely, I like to get notified the minute that statement becomes available. And again, HubDoc does it, but HubDoc doesn't do it for everything all the time. So this way, Smartsheet is the one place where I know for sure I've got everything accounted for. And for example, those retail credit cards that HubDoc can't pull, those are in there. And those other little one-off sort of IT bills, I get a reminder in Smartsheet that reminds me to check each month to make sure that we haven't, or if we have gotten a bill from that company, to make sure it's scheduled to get paid. And if we haven't gotten it, now I know it's time to follow up and ask the client, hey, where's this bill from your IT guy? Because the IT guy typically doesn't have a login that HubDoc can pull from. Another thing I recently did, and this is what I was showing in my 97 and up group, is I created a monthly checklist years ago. It's a monthly bookkeeping checklist, and anytime I've shown this to bookkeepers, they've loved it because it's really comprehensive and it forces you to go through just that, a checklist line by line to make sure everything's getting done. And either you mark it done or you initial it, really is the way the old one was set up. And if it's not applicable, then you actually have to take time to mark it not applicable. And it calls for you to write up a quick explanation, why isn't it applicable? This way you're not just sort of mindlessly marking things not applicable. That's how things do slip through the cracks, because you end up marking something NA that really was applicable, and because you did that, you overlooked it. So I've taken that spreadsheet and turned it into, I've created the Smartsheet version of it, and then I've added in beyond the monthly, the quarterly and annual tasks. The beauty of it is you can use it and structure it any way you like. So there's a lot of little things, for example, like here in California, we have the statement of information. It's this annoying $25 fee that we have to pay to the state, and it's so easy to forget. And the only reminder you get is this little white postcard with the URL where you can go log in online to make the payment. And if you pay it, it's $25. If you don't pay it, it's $250. So it's one of those things that's very easy to overlook and forget. I've seen it happen so many times, and it's the most annoying thing in the world. So, of course, line item in Smartsheet, it's an annual task each year when it comes due. I have Smartsheet configured with the date that it's due, and it's based on the month that you're incorporated in. That's the other thing. It's not like they're all due January 1st, right? It depends on when the company was formed. So I can create that reminder based on the date, and then once I click over and I go make the payment, I just update it to next year, right? So it's really, really easy to manage this stuff and to make sure that I'm getting the alerts that I need to make sure that I don't drop any balls and everything gets done and gets done on time. Because of this system I've created in Smartsheet, which I'm about to show you, I can actually go out there and promise the clients that provided they have the cash flow to cover it, they will not incur a single late fee nor a single dollar of interest. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, so first of all, if you're over here on my website at SethDavid.com, and assuming I haven't completely redesigned the website since recording this video, then what you'll want to do to find Smartsheet or anything that I've done on Smartsheet is come over here to Apps And of course, Smartsheet begins with an S, and click on Smartsheet here. And by the time you're watching this video, it's very likely it'll be here. Of course, it's not here yet because I'm right now at this very moment recording it. So I go into the Smartsheet area. Notice on the left, if you want to try Smartsheet, just click here. That takes you, using my affiliate link, it takes you over to take your free trial of Smartsheet. And of course, if you sign up and end up paying for Smartsheet, they send me a little thank you. I promise you, it's not going to change my lifestyle any whether you do or don't use my affiliate link. But I figure since I'm going to recommend the product anyway, might as well have you use my affiliate link. Here's where you go if you want one-on-one help. So if after you've watched this video, you're so incredibly blown away that you can't wait but to get direct one-on-one help with me, and I can log in remotely and we can record the session and I can walk you through anything you want to learn how to do with Smartsheet, I highly recommend you do this. And as it says here, you can sign up on the site or just call me at 866-945-8070. Get in touch with me. I'll get you signed up. We'll get you scheduled, and we'll get you using Smartsheet right away to optimize the workflow in your business. Now, what I wanted to show you, I created this monthly bookkeeping checklist. And again, if you decide after seeing this that you want my help creating one for you, then reach out to me and I can help you do that. Now, what I've done is I've got it organized first by year. So I'm going to create a new project for each year. It makes sense to do it that way. And then as you can see, I've got the months outlined. So everything's zipped up right now, right? And so all you see are the months. And what's good about this is I've also got conditional formatting in here that kind of highlights, as you can now see, what's coming up, right? So we're on the 31st, and it's kind of letting me know that, hey, November's coming. There's going to be some stuff we want to check into here. So what are the things we need to look at? What are the things we need to do? First of all, let's expand September. And notice that these are things that were meant to be done on October 4th already, right? We can't really touch September until the month is over, so it's really dates in October that we're going to be working on this. So notice that's why I use the last day of the month to kind of head up what happens. And notice what I've done here. I've basically set this up so that I can put in a day of the month. So if I want it done on the 4th day of the month, I just put a 4 in here, and this date figures in automatically based on the date that's up here. So it took a lot of work to get this all set up, but now that it's set up, it works beautifully. So I want to make sure I'm updating the bank feeds every single week, right? So the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. Now this is how I've set up the system. You can, of course, do it daily if you wanted to do it. A little overkill perhaps, but maybe not. Maybe you need to, especially if cash flow is tight and you're really monitoring that. And then once a month, we want to check for old uncleared items to see if if that needs to be addressed, if we have some checks that need to be reversed or people that we need to follow up on. So like I said in the first part of this video, it's a very, very comprehensive checklist. It really includes everything. Notice I can now zip up the banking part within here. And I get into the revenue or the invoicing, and pretty much I've got it configured in this case that on the 5th of the month, that's when we want to do all the invoicing. So on the 5th of this month, we do all the invoicing based on last month's stuff, right? Collections, right? So now we're going to go through on the 6th day of the month after we've done the current month's invoicing. Then it follows that we should do collections the next day and do any follow-up that's needed. Are there any old aged receivables that need to be addressed, and so on and so forth. Then I have, as part of the checklist, a process where we look at the customers. Are we getting new customers in? If not, maybe we follow up with the client and alert them to the fact that, hey, you haven't taken on any new customers in a while. What's going on? And just they may not even be aware because they may be too busy, locked down in their own day-to-day. Sales taxes, if applicable. If not, then notice over here we can say assigned to, or over here I can say not applicable. But again, as I said earlier, if it's my system, so when I implement the system, I'm going to require that an explanation be written. It's not enough just to say it's not applicable. I need to know why it's not applicable. And that's going to be up to the manager, whoever manages this project, to make sure that that's enforced, that that's done. Right? Then we look at the monthly expenses. We look at insurance premiums, right? Can any of this be, compared with external source docs and these sorts of things? The payroll, how often does that need to get done, right? So I have payroll here on the 5th day of the month. Obviously, this might need to get repeated a few times a month, depending on how frequently payroll gets paid. Then every month we do a review of the assets, the inventory, if applicable, fixed assets. You get the idea. And so I've got this laid out for every single month of the year. And of course, you can add stuff if you need to. And notice I've got the subsections also set up so you can kind of zip them up and just focus on one thing at a time. So the conditional formatting lets me know what's coming up. Also notice this conditional formatting, the sort of lighter yellow with the red, means that something's past due. It means it hasn't been marked completed yet. notice what happens if I mark it completed. It all goes away. It gets marked gray and everything's got strike through text, so I know, okay, this is done. And notice the completed is a date. And what I may want to do is, as I mentioned, create an alert that lets the manager know when something has been marked completed. So it wants me to save by changes. So you can go in here to click alerts, and I can say, all right, let's create a new reminder, and let's say I'm the manager, so that's going to go to me on the completed date. Okay, so send me a reminder on the completed date for the sheet. I might want to do 1 day after. Right, so notice here you have these options. So 1 day after. This way, a day after it's been completed, I get notified. I get a trigger notifying me that the item has been completed. And I've also noticed I've got whoever it's been completed by. So let's look at that. It's actually assigned to completed by. So that person also is going to get an alert, right, 1 day before the due date. So letting you know, hey, this is due tomorrow, you better get on it, right? And also a reminder 7 days before the due date. So we get a reminder 7 days and then again 1 day, just to make sure nothing slips through the cracks. This is what I was talking about when I was describing how you can use the alerts to really ensure that no balls get dropped, that everything that needs to get done gets done. And then further down, I'll show you what I've got here. I've got the quarterly stuff. Right, so there's your payroll tax returns and your sales tax returns, and then the annual. We've got 1099s happening every year in January. They're going to become even more important to be focused on and not drop this ball, because the deadline is now the end of January. You used to have till March to file the federal copies. Now it's all got to be filed by the end of the month. So I've got this date here. November is when I want to start actually reviewing the vendor information to make sure we have it, so that we're not panicking in January to get the information we need to process those 1099s. And there's your statement of information that I mentioned. So this due date right here, I've got a note. It's based on the month of incorporation. So when the client gets onboarded, one of the questions I ask them in my questionnaire is when they're incorporated. And this is part of the reason why I need to know when their statement of information needs to be filed and paid. And then, of course, here I've got a reminder near the end of the year to set up next year's tracking sheet. Because remember, I told you that we do one for each year. Now, if you're worried about using up a lot of sheets, because Smartsheet's plans sort of include up to a certain number of sheets, don't worry. It's actually very easy to deal with. You simply take the 2016 year and turn it into a template. Templates don't count towards your sheet count. So you turn it into a template. Once you're done, save it as a template, delete the actual sheet, and now you've archived the data, because you can keep all the data with the template. You've archived it without it using up another sort of number in your sheet count. And down here, of course, I've got it marked that November 1st is when we want to start doing tax projections for the clients. So, my friends, 2 ways you can get help from me on this. You can hire me for one-on-one, and I can log in remotely with you, and I can help you build this. Or you can join my 97 and Up program, which is $97 a month, and we'll cover this and many, many other things. The other thing I'd like to encourage you to do, especially if you like this, is just to get a more general picture of how I use Smartsheet in my day-to-day business. Watch this video here. This one's free optimizing workflow in your business. Actually covers 5 different applications, including Smartsheet. But if you're done and you like this and you want to learn how I use all these products on a daily basis, then you can actually sign up for and get this product, which is 5 applications in 5 days for $40. There it is. Up above I had the private training thing. 5 apps in 5 days for $40. And what will happen is every day you'll get another email, starting with 17 Hats, then Smartsheet, then Evernote, then Nimble, then ActiveCollab. Each day you get another app emailed to you with a link to download a video. These videos are yours to keep forever. And like I said, they'll drip out to you once a day until you've got all 5 of them. And then you can review them at your own pace and learn how I use all these applications. And I do use them all to optimize workflow in my business. As always, I hope you had some fun here. I hope you learned something along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the